Welcome into Steelers Latest, your daily spot for all news and information about your Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm your host, Cole Denis, and please like and subscribe to the channel if you enjoy the content. To stay today with our new Steelers. Let's get rocking. It's time for the Steelers to pull again in the division. This week is a great opportunity for the Steelers to take their first divisional lead of the year. Entering this week, tied for the lead in the NFC North, 2-1 with the Bengals. If you look at everyone's matchups this week, we definitely got the most favorable one with the Bengals facing the Broncos. They have no Joe Burrow. I expect that to be a rough game for the Bengals once again. We saw what a good defense like the Vikings did to them last week. Another strong defense with the Broncos. Should them struggling once again will give us the lead if we win and the Bengals lose and everyone else wins. But we could separate ourselves from the Browns and Ravens a little bit more. Looking at their matchups, you got Browns facing the Lions, the Ravens facing the Chiefs. Clearly, as I said earlier, we got the best favorable one here going to Dublin to face the Vikings. That's why I've been hammering it all season long into the regular season. How important this early 6 week stretch is for the Steelers to go. We hoped for 5-0. Now we're hoping for 4-1 after the Seahawks lost. And very possible it is so important for us to continue to stay hot before we hit that tough stretch of the schedule from week 7 on. We can't falter here against the Vikings, or we will be squandering a chance to continue to pull in front of the division rivals. And we really need to, because mostly, we're looking at the Ravens. Their schedule lightens up here soon. Their rough part of the schedule was early, and as many games between us and them early into the season is more important than anything right now, because right now it looks like it's going to be us and the Ravens battling by the end of the season. So if we end up dropping this week, we reach the end of the year, and it comes down to week 18 matchup. We're all going to think of some Vikings for the Seahawks game earlier in the season that we could have won, but we just squandered the opportunity. So let's talk about who has to stand out here in this week 4 matchup in Dublin. First off, we're going to start on the offensive side of the ball, and it was tough for me to choose someone who's going to stand out against this Vikings defense, because I don't think we really match up too well against their blitz-heavy defense in Minnesota. So I don't see the running game really getting going in this one once again. I really do think if we are going to pull out a win here, it's going to rely all on Aaron Rodgers being able to dominate the game from the line of scrimmage and being able to find into that Calvin Austin and the trio of tight ends early into the rounds. I think he's going to have to get the ball out of his hands early for us to win this one. There's going to be a lot of pressure on his face all game long. He's going to have to be a mastermind on the offensive line. He's going to have to be able to communicate well with his offensive linemen to pick up these blitzes. It's going to be really important for Rodgers to basically be that veteran of the team this week. Basically, have everyone prepared for what they or what he's seeing on the football field out of the Vikings defense, what he's expecting them to do, and communicating that to everyone else, all the rest of the team players on our offensive side of the ball, so everyone can be as effective as possible against such a blitz-heavy defense. I do think Rodgers can go over 250 yards this week, maybe 3, 4 touchdowns once again. He's done a really reliably one-game football this week. Moving to the defensive side of the ball, though, I'm going to choose my guy in the middle of the defense, Patrick Queen. He leads the team in tackles already. Once again, I think he's going to lead the team in that category, in that stat once again. This week, that's not why I'm choosing him as the standout player. I think for our defense, we want to be sending a lot of heat this game. And recently, we've been sending heat from the middle of the defense, using our interior linebackers to pressure quarterbacks in the middle. I think this will be huge for Patrick Queen this week. If we can blitz Carson Wentz a lot, we're going to force him to make some rush decisions. I think Jeff Queen's going to be a big reason he made some errors in this game. And he's going to rack up a couple tackles for a loss also, and maybe be able to bring down Wentz for his first sack of the year. And hopefully, this is just hopeful. This would just be a little cherry on top of the performance if his coverage can pick up in the middle of the field when he isn't blitzing. I really think his coverage is lacking there the first 3 weeks of the season. So I'd like to see that improve. Let's make a little bit. Like, I think he'll make a lot of splash plays in the run game and when he's blitzing plays. Let's talk about a game plan, though. How should the Steelers attack the Vikings this week? And I already kind of mentioned it through my standout play of the week. First, let's start defensively. Think we're going to have to send a lot of heat here. We want to get Wentz as uncomfortable as possible in the backfield. And this doesn't mean leave Jefferson one-on-one. This means put a cornerback on Justin Jefferson and have a safety over top. Don't let him cook us. Make him go to someone like Jordan Allen, Addison, or Adam Thielen once again. But if this doesn't work early, don't be afraid to switch it up, be able to back out of it. I just say no blitz because that can take away the run game while also applying pressure on the quarterback at the same time. Really, what it comes down to for me this week defensively, cheat something on. I'd much prefer take their aerial attack of the game through blitzes, through being able to lock down Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison. But I don't know how likely that is. But please don't let another running back. If they're able to pass on us, don't let another running back go over 100 yards. Take something away this week, defense, because I'm over seeing 250-yard passers and 100-plus yard running backs. One team can play us. Every team gets excited to play this defense so far. So let's make sure we can get all the way here and change the opinion of us throughout the league. Uh, Moving to the offensive side of the ball, once again, I think we're going to be able to run it. Going to really come down to methodically dicing the Vikings defense apart when they are sending the blitzes. We need Rodgers to communicate this well with the offensive linemen so they can slide correctly and pick up the extra men. We can't afford to be afraid to run routes over the middle this week either. That's something we've lacked in recent years in general, and especially in recent weeks. We didn't see much of that over the first 3 weeks of the season. Week one, when our offense was looking the most effective, we actually used more of the middle of the field. In the next 2 weeks, we've gotten away from that part of our game. I go back to essentially one team's hard blitzing heavy. So a lot of screens, slants, a lot of flat routes, a lot of ins, a lot of outs. We need players creating space after the ball, and we need Rodgers getting the ball early so they can create that space after the reception. Let's wrap up today's show with my final prediction. Who do I think's going to win? Once again, went back and forth. I could love our chances if it was J.J. McCarthy, but I'm still going to stick with my preseason prediction that the Steelers will be able to pull this one out against Carson Wentz and the Vikings. It really comes down to if our offensive line can just give Rodgers enough time to get the ball out of his hand when blitzes are being sent to him. I think we will be able to do that. We saw slight improvement last week, no sacks allowed. Hopefully, that is a trend that can continue, and Rodgers will be able to deliver the ball. And our defense should continue to lock in more and more as the season progresses and as we get healthier. So I think this is going to be a weird ending, say 24-22, because Vikings will somehow miss a 2-point conversion. We'll stuff them on a 2-point attempt at the end of the game to seal the deal. But that has been it from Steelers Latest. I've been your host, Cole Denis, and I will see you next